Thank you very much for being here this afternoon. My name is Chris Rosum. I am the Executive Director of Historic Ships in Baltimore and Vice President of Living Classrooms Foundation. Welcome on board USS Constellation, the last all-sail ship built by the U.S. Navy, and very appropriate for this event because we are talking about Fleet Week, the fleet, the flights, and the festival to take place right here in Baltimore, October 3 through 9. So next week, we are 1 week out. And this event has been a long time coming, but we're really, really excited that it is finally here. I'm going to cut to the chase here and just tell everybody that this event would not have been possible without the generous support of our many sponsors, in particular our title sponsor, Northrop Grumman, Visit Maryland and the Department of Commerce, Geico, Lockheed Martin, SunTrust Bank, DeWalt, the Four Seasons Hotel, JP Morgan Chase, PNC Bank, and Domino Sugar, and United Parcel Service, UPS. So thank you all very, very much for your support. More than 400 individuals and representing over 70 organizations have been planning for over 15 months to put all of this together. Now we're just 1 week out. 13 ships will be berthed here at the Inner Harbor, the Maryland Port Terminal at North Locust Point, the Under Armour Pier at Tide Point, Fells Point Broadway Pier, and Canton Pier 13 and Canton Clinton Street, representing the U.S. Navy, the Royal Canadian Navy, the British Royal Navy, U.S. Coast Guard, and many, many more. So we're really excited to have the fleet come in. They'll make their entrance on Wednesday, October 3rd, and be open to the public October 4th through the 8th. In addition to the fleet, Air Show Baltimore will be here on Saturday and Sunday, October 6th and 7th. Viewing areas are all over the harbor area with prime viewing out at Fort McHenry. The Air Show demonstration teams include the Geico Skytypers, Scott Francis with daring maneuvers in his MXS model aerobatic plane, the A-10 tactical demo team, search and rescue demonstrations with the U.S. Coast Guard helicopter, Canadian F-18 demo team, the U.S. Army Black Daggers jump team, and a special appearance by the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds in the flying, in the F-16 Fighting Falcon jets. So we have an incredible air show, we have an incredible fleet coming, and to complement that, we have the Fleet Week Festival stretching from Rashfield all the way around to the aquarium, October 5th through 7th. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with interactive displays, family fun, military recruiters, food trucks, local brews, and 3 music stages. Local bands, Navy entertainment, the Constitution Sailors will be here, U.S. Navy drill team, U.S. Marine Corps brass band, and much, much more. On Friday evening, to kick everything off, from 5 to 8, will be the Fleet Week Happy Hour right over at the West Shore Park, featuring local musical favorite Chris Jacobs. So we're all really looking forward to seeing Chris, hearing Chris and his band, and it's also a great opportunity. There'll be a lot of sailors there. Also opportunity to have your selfie with a sailor. And as if that wasn't enough, during the whole Fleet Week time period, it's the reason we have Fleet Week is so that the Navy, well, most of the time the Navy is way off at sea, and so we don't see the Navy. This is an opportunity for the Navy to come into port and meet the public, and for the public to meet our Navy and talk to the young women who sail these ships. And so it's very much an educational opportunity. And as part of Historic Ships in Baltimore and Living Classrooms Foundation, that's what we're all about. So there will be, during the time period, there will be a lot of outreach into schools from folks from the Navy and other branches of the military. And then also on Monday the 8th, that's our Navigate the Fleet Day, where we'll have about 2,000 school kids coming down here to the Inner Harbor and Locust Point and over to Fells Point to visit the ships, get special tours, and really learn about what it's like to serve on board these vessels. these folks from our military are always looking for the brightest and the best, and we're looking to inspire the youth of today to success in technical careers, and that's something that our Navy and Coast Guard can offer. So it's a great opportunity to basically have a public interface with our ships and the men and women who defend our nation. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Deputy Secretary of Commerce, Mr. Benjamin Wu, to talk about the economic impact of Fleet Week.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chris. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm pleased to be the Deputy Secretary of Commerce. But actually, I am very pleased to be here because on behalf of Governor Larry Hogan and the mayor and such distinguished guests, I'm pleased to be here to announce the return of the Maryland Fleet Week and Air Show back to Baltimore. You know, as Chris mentioned, the Fleet Week brings such great things to our city and to our state. You know, 2 years ago, when we last celebrated Fleet Flights Festival in Maryland, it was a tremendous success. And as a recognition of Baltimore's rich maritime history and our state's significant contribution to our country's national defense and security. And it also drove substantial tourism and economic impact dollars to our state and our city coffers as well. You know, for us at the Department of Commerce, we're in the business of economic development, which means that we want to help people create jobs and also to create revenue. And we do this in so many different ways. This includes ensuring that our unparalleled quality of life continues to allow us to attract and retain the nation's best and the brightest. And being able to showcase our state through events and festivals like Fleet Week really helps us to make Maryland one of the best states to do business and to live. We need opportunities to celebrate our history, our culture, our Chesapeake Bay, and to showcase what's great about our city and our state. The Fleet Week and Air Show helps us do that in so many ways, allowing us to highlight the important defense-related resources and assets that we have here in Maryland, and also allowing our residents and our visitors from out of state to celebrate our rich military roots. And we're going to be highlighting during Fleet Week and Air Show at the Department of Commerce our aerospace and defense sector's importance to our state's economy. They employ over 134,000 people and generate $35 billion each year to our state. And at the same time, this event is also a major boost to our local businesses. Visitors will shop in our stores, eat in our restaurants, stay in our hotels, and make lots of great memories for themselves and their families. Tourism dollars are critical to our economy. Last year, 42.5 million people visited Maryland and spent nearly $18 billion here, which also generated $2.4 billion in state and local tax revenue. And I want to give a shout out to our Office of Tourism team, led by Liz Fitzsimmons, for doing such a wonderful job and for continuing to allow us to break these records each year that are so important to our state. Now last year, or 2 years ago rather, the Fleet Week and Air Show attracted 300,000 visitors and had an overall impact of $30 million. $30 million, which is not too shabby, and we would certainly love to replicate or exceed that kind of success again this year. So this event is good for businesses, it's good for the city, and it's good for the state. And it's good for the image that Maryland wants to project out to the country and to the world. It's a win-win all the way around. So once again, thanks to our lead sponsor, Northrop Grumman, our co-sponsors, Geico, Domino Sugar, JP Morgan Chase, Merit Companies, and PNC Bank. Thanks also, Chris, to Historic Ships of Baltimore and to Sail Baltimore for your work on this and other projects. And a special thank you to the United States Navy and to our military branches for once again selecting Maryland and reaffirming the importance of our state's maritime and nautical history and our military tradition as well. We're all going to have a great time here coming up in the next few weeks, and we hope to see you all there. So on behalf of Governor Hogan, we look forward to seeing you, and we look forward to continuing to celebrate, once again, Maryland Fleet Week and Air Show in Baltimore.
Maryland Fleet Week and Air Show Baltimore is all about partnerships. We've got some amazing partnerships from the Navy, Department of Commerce, the Office of Tourism, and probably one of our most important, if not our most important partnership and partner, the City of Baltimore. So I'd like to introduce Mayor Catherine Pugh.
So I was having this conversation with Rear Admiral Stephen Evans, and he was telling me that this is the week, actually, when they transition from their summer uniforms to their fall. So I'm sorry. But I am grateful for the weather. And so we know that it's going to be a great time here in Baltimore, great weather. Mr. Secretary, Maryland Deputy Secretary of Commerce, I want to thank you all as well. I want to thank all of our sponsors because this means so much to Baltimore. As you've already heard, there are going to be lots of visitors here who get an opportunity to share in the excitement of Fleet Week. And when I think about the young people who will have an opportunity to come down here, it's just going to be great for Baltimore. And think about the history that we get to share with so many. One of the things that hasn't been mentioned, because so much has been mentioned, is that we're going to have a 5K race. And so I'm excited about the Fleet Week 5K. For those of you who are runners, please come and participate. It's going to be a good way to see what's happening down here. And I'm telling you, the young people in the schools that you all will visit certainly will get an opportunity to understand what's happening here as well. We're in partnership with the Baltimore City Public Schools, and so we want them to have this great experience. I also wanted to say thank you to Living Classroom Foundation for all the work that you do around these kinds of efforts. I know the Baltimore Office of Promotion and Arts has had a lot of work to do with this as well. So let me just give a hearty thank you to everyone who's participating, but more importantly, I promise you, great weather for Fleet Week, lots of excitement, and a lot of great people for people in Baltimore to see. And we're inviting everyone from around the state, and I know there are people who will be coming in town just to see and visit this particular activity. So on to a great Fleet Week, and we're very excited. Thank you all for being here.
And of course, the Navy is coming to town, so I'd like to introduce Admiral Evans to come up and say a few words.
Thanks, Chris. Just a few words this afternoon. Good afternoon, Baltimore. Good afternoon. All right. It's great to be here. I'd like to thank Mayor Pugh, the state of Maryland, our partners, Northrop Grumman, and other public and private organizations who helped make Maryland Fleet Week and Air Show Baltimore possible. But a special thank you to the city of Baltimore, the birthplace of our national anthem, and to the state of Maryland for their commitment to helping showcase the men, women, and the other amazing assets of this nation's modern Navy, which is now 240 years young. The inaugural Maryland Fleet Week and Air Show Baltimore around and above this harbor in 2016 proved just how magnificent this historic city, its port, and its people are, and how skilled you are as partners to the United States Navy in planning and executing such a complex undertaking. So we're excited to be back. The Navy and Marine Corps team belongs to the American people. And Maryland Fleet Week and Air Show Baltimore is a great opportunity to show the people of Maryland who we are, what we do, and how committed we are to serving this great nation. Throughout the week, we will participate in a variety of activities and events throughout Baltimore, including an exciting air show by our famed sister service, the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds, above Fort McHenry in the Inner Harbor, as you've heard on October 6th and 7th. I invite all of you to come out to our ships, have some fun, and experience the world of a sailor. There'll be approximately 3,000 sailors and Marines, U.S. Navy and foreign ships, and about 3 dozen aircraft in attendance. And we'll be hosting tours on board our ships throughout the harbor from the 4th through the 8th, as was mentioned before. We've also organized some community relation events where our crew members will lend their time and expertise to community members and organizations around Baltimore. We want to make this trip count and ensure that all of us feel the impact, both the Navy and Marine Corps team and the Baltimore community. So as was mentioned, get out, take a selfie with a sailor, and post it on social media. Because as was mentioned also, the Navy and Marine Corps team is truly America's away team. We never play a home game. And when we always are doing our jobs, we're always pretty far away from home. So the American people just don't get to see how good these young men and women are at what they do and how dedicated they are to serving our great nation. So we're going to come and give the opportunity for you to see that. And I hope you all get out and take advantage of it. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.
So as I mentioned before, Northrop Grumman is our title sponsor, and we are extremely grateful for their support. And I was talking with Admiral Metz as he came up the gangway here. Admiral Metz is representing Northrop Grumman for us today. And he said, yeah, the last time I was on board here, I was officiating at a promotion ceremony on board. And that's one of the neat things that happens on board this ship and on board the submarine and on board the Coast Guard cutter. Very often we have folks who are in our military who come aboard here for re-enlistments, promotions, retirement ceremonies. And it's kind of neat that, you know, they can take advantage of these really special pieces of our naval history and our Coast Guard history over in Taney, and makes their event that much more special. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Admiral Metz.
Good afternoon. So Chris actually spoiled my fun. So I am Will Metz. I'm the Director of Strategy and Programs at Northrop Grumman's Cyber and Intelligence Mission Solutions Division, right outside of Baltimore in Annapolis Junction. And on behalf of Northrop Grumman, I wanted to thank all of you for being here. We recognize that, one, there's an exciting week ahead. Two, the good news is the mayor has blessed us with beautiful weather. And three, we look forward to interacting with you and the Navy and the Air Force and the Army and your families over the coming week. A special thank you to Mayor Pugh and the City of Baltimore for hosting the Maryland Fleet Week and Air Show, as well as the invitation for us to participate in this afternoon's press conference, recognizing that it's just a little bit warm. I'd also like to thank Deputy Secretary Benjamin Wu. We actually had a pleasant conversation about the strategic importance of the partnership that Northrop Grumman has with the City of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. Also for Mr. Chris Rosen. Chris, I gotta say, it's a hard act to follow. So I would recommend to our additional speakers, don't try it. It's difficult. Thank you for your ongoing support of Maryland Fleet Week and the Air Show, as well as Mr. Jeff Buschetti and City Transportation's Mr. Frank Murphy. So Northrop Grumman is proud to be the presenting sponsor of this year's Maryland Fleet Week, as we were in 2016. It is one of the many ways that our company is able to give back to the community which we both live and serve. This week, we celebrate the U.S. Navy, but year-round, we partner with the state of Maryland to grow educational and hiring opportunities for U.S. veterans and their spouses across the military and support veteran career transitions. Having spent 30 years as a naval officer, I understand the positive impact of these programs. In fact, being in the company of Admiral Evans today, I'm actually reminded of my time on the staff of Carrier Group 2, the amazing fighting force that he now commands. As we often say in the Navy, even though it is the world's largest Navy, it really is a small Navy, so it's good to see you, Admiral. Northrop Grumman also has deep roots in the greater Baltimore area, in particular, with expanding workforce at sites across the state. We are a leading developer, manufacturer, and provider of navigation systems, radar, and electronic warfare mission packages to the U.S. military and many of our closest allies who will be here this week. We also build critical systems and equipment for aircraft flown by the Navy, Marine Corps team, and our United States Air Force, including fifth-generation radar systems built right here in the city of Baltimore. As a leader within Northrop Grumman's Cyber and Intelligence Group, I'm especially proud of the strategic partnership that we have with academic institutions like UMBC, the University of Maryland College Park, the U.S. Naval Academy, and the Cyber Patriots program for the purpose of growing the critical skills that are necessary to address the strategic imperative that our country has in cyber. Again, we are honored and proud to partner with Baltimore and the U.S. Navy, Air Force, and other services on such an exciting week and for our service members and city. We look forward to kicking off the events on the 3rd, Deputy Secretary Wu, and I look forward to participating in those with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And any big event like this takes a lot of nuts and bolts to put it together, and one of the most important aspects of that is transportation, and we want to make sure that everybody knows how to get down here to the Inner Harbor and North Locust Point and Fells Point to see the ships, see the planes, and enjoy the festival. So I'd like to invite Frank Murphy to come up and tell us about that.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Frank Murphy with the Baltimore City Department of Transportation. I bring you greetings from my director, Michelle Buteau. We're excited about this event, too. Of course, we've had the event here before, but every time it gets bigger and better. There are more vendors, and there's more entertainment this time. Did want to tell you about a few things. We know that, of course, visitors will be coming to Fells Point, Inner Harbor, North Locust Point, Fort McHenry, and Canton to view the entertainment, the vendors, the ships. We expect that the weekend will be the busiest time, which is probably no surprise, not only because people are off work, but also because that's when the air show is going to be taking place, and that's, of course, always a big draw. Also, on Sunday, we have the Columbus Day Parade that will go from the stadiums over to Little Italy, and there will be road closures to accommodate that, primarily on Pratt Street. So that starts at 1 o'clock, so you might want to get down to Locust Point and North or Fort McHenry if that's where you're headed prior to 1 o'clock if you come down on Sunday. One of the good things is, though, Fort McHenry, of course, is a good place to go to view the air show, but you can see it from almost all over the city, anywhere near the harbor. So you can be in Fells Point, you can be down by Harbor Hospital. All those are good spots to see the air show. Did want to tell you about restrictions for travel to Fort McHenry. We closed Ford Avenue at Andre Street and don't let any vehicles go beyond. And there actually will be checkpoints on Ford Avenue to kind of divert the folks that aren't local residents and business if they're driving, to try to limit the traffic on Fort Avenue. So the way to get to Fort McHenry is to use transit. You can catch the MTA bus in the Inner Harbor or the Charm City Circulator banner route also in the Inner Harbor. It will take you to Francis Scott Key Elementary. It's about two-thirds of a mile rather, from there to the fort, and you will have to walk the rest of the way. But like I said, if you're just going for the air show, there's lots of other places to view it if you like. So to get downtown, because there are a lot of visitors, want to encourage the use of transit. Metro, of course, is the best way. It's very quick, faster than driving, not affected by any traffic congestion. There's also light rail and the MTA buses. If you do drive on the weekends, just expect some traffic congestion as you get close into things, because there's a lot going on Saturday and Sunday. And of course, mark trains if you're coming up from the DC area. Also, just a couple of the things I want to mention. There is a commercial vehicle restriction in the Inner Harbor and Locust Point areas, which is something we do on July 4th fireworks, Inner Harbor New Year's fireworks, and for this event. We have issued a stop work order so the construction won't be blocking lanes in the downtown area during the time that this event's going on. Be aware that we do have, of course, parking restrictions and residential permit parking restrictions in the neighborhoods. We'll be enforcing them. Please, make sure you observe them and don't violate them. We don't want to see you towed away. That would kind of spoil your day. Finally, there's a number of websites that you may want to check out for information. mdfleetweek.org for the event itself. mta.maryland.gov for MTA transit information, transportation@baltimorecity.gov, that's our city DOT website, and finally charmcitycirculator.com for the information about our Charm City Circulator. And with that in mind, I hope everybody has a great event like it's been each time it's been here. We look forward to it being even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank, and I hope I didn't steal our next speaker's thunder when I was talking about our educational programming, but I'd like to introduce Jeff Bookie, who's the director of the Baltimore National Heritage Area and has been the co-chair of our education committee. He's got all sorts of cool things going on.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you. I'm glad you said cool things, because just on a personal note, I am that person that in January you see walking into the grocery store with shorts on. So this is pretty intense right now. All right, so Jeff Bookie, Director of the Baltimore National Heritage Area. My co-chair is Monica Whippo with Baltimore City Public Schools. We're co-chairs of the Education Committee. And we have some spectacular educational and fun experiences lined up for students and people of all ages and interests. All of the things I'm about to talk about are thanks to a grant from the Maryland Heritage Areas Authority out of the Maryland Historical Trust. So we definitely thank them, and we thank Mayor Pugh and the City of Baltimore for the support of the Heritage Area as well. That's part of what's paying for the buses to get the kids down here. All right, 3 very quick, super exciting things. School trips. Approximately 2,000 Baltimore City Public School children will get the experience of a field trip or an in-class experience during Maryland Fleet Week and Air Show Baltimore. That is 36 schools at this point, and actually that number goes up every day, and our staff have a small heart attack every day when we get more calls from schools, but we're going to make it work, and we've got the money to do it. From elementary school students to high school students in ROTC, these kids are going to get a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Some will visit ships in the Inner Harbor, some will go to North Locust Point. Others will be visited by representatives of the USS Maryland, the USS Constitution, and the Thunderbirds. All right, that's school trips. Number 2, the passport. We're doing a wonderful passport again this year. It's going to look something like this, and we are printing 15,000 copies of the passport. They're being delivered tomorrow. And this is how the passport works. Visitors and residents can use these as they tour the ships and about 24 sites around the Inner Harbor, Fells Point, and Locust Point. And while they visit, they're going to be getting stamps. So the sailors, the crew on the ships are going to be stamping it. The sites around the harbor are going to be stamping it. And then once visitors and residents get 10 unique stamps, they're able to turn those in at 6 different locations during the Fleet Week Festival to receive a special commemorative token. And we have 1,500 of those tokens available, and they're first come, first served. So make sure you get those 10 stamps and then go to one of the redemption sites. And those 6 redemption sites are the Inner Harbor Visitor Center, Maryland Fleet Week Festival Information Booth, Immigration Museum in Locust Point, Frederick Douglass Isaac Myers Maritime Park in Fells Point, Star Spangled Banner Flag House, and right here at the Constellation. All right, last but not least, Fells Point Walking Tour app. Also thanks to funding from those same sources, we will be unveiling a walking tour app for Fells Point. So make sure you check it out. It's going to be a really cool thing. So visitors are going to be able to use their smartphone and walk around Fells Point and learn about all the wonderful history that is there in Fells Point. So to learn more about all this, 2 different websites, explorebaltimore.org and then the main Maryland Fleet Week and Air Show website. And you can find all this information, especially things about the passport, so you can find out where to get your copy and to get out there and get it stamped. So last but not least, we're super excited about all these students and families making special memories in Baltimore. I just want to share, before I even knew Chris, my grandfather actually was in the Navy, and when he visited here 25 years ago, one of my best memories was taking him to the submarine. And again, I didn't even know Chris at the time, but it was a great memory for him. It was a great memory for me, and I just think it's going to be great for all these families to make those special memories while they're here. So thank you for the opportunity, and we're going to make some good memories for kids.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. And I think at that point I could probably just say mdfleetweek.org and stop, but I've got a couple more things. So ships are going to be open from 1300 to 1800, 1 to 6 p.m., Thursday through Monday. There's going to be an open house at Martin State Airport from 10 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. So that's where they've got also, they're going to have a lot of historic planes there. You'll be able to see the Thunderbirds take off and land, and maybe even some autographs. So that's taking place out at Martin State Airport. They're another one of our great partners. Fleet Week Festival, Friday through Sunday, as we said. The Fleet Week 5K on Sunday morning starting at 9. You can sign up at charmcityrun.com. We've got a number of community partnerships, community partners throughout Baltimore here that are putting on all sorts of special things like packages and hotel packages and restaurant deals and things like that. So look to mdfleetweek.org for those special deals. Come on down, stroll the promenade, get some food and drink, enjoy. I mentioned all of our sponsors, particularly Northrop Grumman a little earlier, and mentioned the 70 different organizations. Just some of them are major partners. Living Classrooms Foundation, Sail Baltimore. Sail Baltimore brings the ships in. The U.S. Navy, of course. Visit Baltimore, extremely important to putting this event on. Waterfront Partnership. They help us out, help us with all of our logistics here on the waterfront. Maryland Heritage Areas Authority provided a grant for all of the educational programs. Downtown Partnership of Baltimore, Baltimore National Heritage Area, Martin State Airport, and of course, Historic Ships in Baltimore, Visit Maryland, and I would be remiss if I did not give another shout out to the City of Baltimore. All of the agency folks have been amazing to work with. So, there's something here for everyone. mdfleetweek.org. mdfleetweek.org. Look forward to seeing you next week.